Good morning. How many of you have been to the IMAX theater? Okay, they have you wear glasses. We're not going to do that today. We don't have glasses for you to wear, and basically we're going to start with the theater of the mind. I'm going to ask you to listen as I set the stage for what you're about to see. I want you to let yourself get into it and understand it, and then just let it speak to you. So here we go. With your imaginations, follow along, and I guess I can do this with my glasses on. The story, Act 1. The setting. Miles and Josh are each on their own journey backpacking in the wilderness. They have never met until today. They both headed to a scenic spot in a valley far from any trails that was known for its beauty and peace, but takes a long hike and some experience to get to. On this day, Miles and Josh arrived separately at this location to enjoy the scene, not knowing that anyone else would be there, nor the impending danger. Though some thunder clouds could be heard in the distance, there were no clouds directly above their heads. While soaking in the scenery, each man decided to take a break to eat and enjoy the peace. Suddenly, a loud noise came rumbling towards them with a rush of water behind it. A flash flood had been caused by the storm. It was bearing down on Miles and Josh. They quickly grabbed what they could and tried to make a run for it, but the water was already upon them. It swept them away and down one of the many canyons in the area. A long way down, Miles was able to grab hold of a large tree branch that had become lodged between some rocks. As Josh came by, Miles was somehow able to reach out and grab him by the backpack, likely saving his life. The two managed to scramble up on the rocks and out of the water. We join in with them just as they have gotten to safety away from the reach of the water.
Oh my goodness, that was insane. You just saved my life. I don't even know your name. I'm Josh.
Miles.
Miles. Can you believe what just happened? It came on so fast. I mean, there I am sitting there just enjoying everything, and all of a sudden I see the water coming. I hear it. I see it coming. All I could do is grab my pack. That's it. I can't even believe we made it out of there alive. Man.
What just happened? What just happened? I mean, there we were, and all my stuff got swept away. I mean, I have no idea where we are right now. I mean, who knows how many miles down the stream we've just been washed. I mean, what are we going to do? What do we have? I'm thankful that we're alive, but great. Now we're lost. We're lost.
Completely. I have no idea where we are. Not only are we lost, I lost everything. Everything else got swept away. All I got was what's left in my pack. Let's see. I have some water, thankfully. Let's see. Got a few matches, knife, Just the food I had packed for the day and a couple pieces of paper, but, well, I guess maybe we can use it to start a fire or something.
You know, I got much of the same, plus a little first aid kit. Man, I got a flashlight. But apparently all that is a bunch of dead weight right now. I mean, hey, doesn't look like we have very many hours of sunlight left.
No.
I guess this place is as good as any to hold up for the night.
Yeah, well, looks like we're in this together. So what were you doing out here?
I needed a break from work. You?
Something like that. So what do you do for work?
I am a teacher. Yeah, what do you do?
I'm a pastor.
A pastor? Of course, of all people, I would get stuck in the wilderness with a pastor. I mean, why do you choose to be a pastor? I mean, just getting involved in people's dirt? You know, serving for what? For what? I mean, I'm guessing a Christian pastor. Yeah, you know. I just don't get it. I don't understand this whole big deal about God. About some dude coming and dying, whatever that was. I don't understand. But you know what? Let's just get this over with. I know you're kind.
All right.
So I'll give you 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, why don't you give me the Cliff Note version of why anyone would choose to live a life like that?
I can't do that. I can't cover this whole story in just a couple minutes.
Why a story? I mean, isn't it just a bunch of rules, a set of beliefs, what do you call it, a credo?
No, you see, a Christian faith is so much more than just a few rules, a credo. I can't just reduce it to a set of bullet points or something. See, this is a story that defines me.
You just said it again. Story. I mean, by acknowledging that it's a story, aren't you acknowledging that it's fictional?
No, not at all. You see, this is a story this is the story I find myself in. This is a story that encompasses and forms my life. This isn't just some fictional bedtime story. This is a real story. This is the story of how God cares for his people. It's this grand love story. You see, this is a true story. This is a story that is my story, our story, the story.
All right, Pastor. Let's have it. I mean, it's not like there's anything else to do out here.
All right. If you're up for it. So you remember how, back in high school they had all these Shakespearean plays and stuff, and there's, act this and scene that and whatever, right? This story has 8 acts. And the first act is the act of creation. So imagine you're a spectator. You're sitting there and you're looking upon God as he's about to create the universe. You've got a front row seat. Now God is there, and God, there's one God, but 3 personas, and we're going to have to come back to this one later in the story. But God is sitting there, and he's perfectly content. He's happy. But he decides that he wants to give his love away even more. So he's there. He's planning. He's devising. He's designing this great master plan. And this wonderful world for mankind to live in. You're there, you're watching, and then all of a sudden you see that God creates the heavens and the earth. It's like this cosmic canvas on which he can paint the universe. So, we would think, though, of a canvas, right, as something clean and defined and structured. and neat. But see, this canvas wasn't anything like that. This was something messy, wild, chaotic even. And so it's on this canvas that God decides that he's going to paint the entire universe. Now, you might think that maybe the messiness would overpower God. But the picture we get in this story is that God is over the messiness. That he rules over it all, that his spirit cannot be stopped. That no matter what the messiness, the chaos tries to do to subvert his plans, God is more powerful than that.
Wait. What about all of the evidence for evolution? I mean, that stuff's captivating to me. Where does that fit into the story?
Suppose for a moment, suppose the Big Bang Theory is true. Let me ask you this. Where did those particles come from? Those, what do they call them? Aren't they called like some kind of super particle or something, whatever the heck they call them, right? Where did these things that big banged all over the universe come from? What put them there? Or rather, who put them there? You see, for me, the question isn't about the details of how it was created, but of what, or rather, who was the one that created it. So whether it was done in 7 days or 7 years or 7 billion years or through the Big Bang Theory or some other theory that we have yet to come up with, the thing that I know, the thing that this story tells, is that God is the cause of all of that. So there he is. God has this blank canvas. So then he goes ahead and he creates he's about to start the creation. He wants to get going. So imagine you're there, and it's just total darkness. There's this blank canvas. And all of a sudden, out of this darkness comes this light. Now, it's one thing to create light, to create a light bulb. It's another thing maybe even to create the sun, the moon, and the stars. But to create light is an entirely different thing. Even the concept of light, this thing against which darkness cannot stand. So he creates this light. I mean, think about, we've been walking this afternoon, and look at that sun that's about to set over there. Think how it has guided our footsteps today. Think how we've felt its heat and warmth. Think how it's illuminated everything that we can see, the beauty of all of this creation out here. Let's pause for a moment and take in everything that's around us. See those hills over there? You see the way that the colors trail through them so beautifully? How there's no uniformity there? How it looks as if someone painted that? Or take those mountains over there. Look how majestic those things are. I mean, it's incredible to think that God put those there. You remember that bird we saw as we were scrambling out? You see the colors on that thing? I mean, think of all the detail that went into that bird. It's not like it's just one color or any random color or just gray. Think of the beauty of that thing. The red on its chest, the green on the tips of its wings. I mean, God made this incredibly beautiful place for us. You see that bat? I mean, look at that thing. It's this ugly flying rodent. And yet, think of all the things that have to go right. I mean, the thing can't even really see where it's going. And yet, it finds a way to get out of its cave. Not only not manage to bang its head into trees and rocks and everything, but it's able to hunt. It uses this echolocation. I mean, how incredible is that? A rodent that uses the same kind of thing that dolphins do, this kind of sonar to find its way around the world. You see that tree over there? Look at the leaves on that thing. Not one of them is alike. Look at all the colors. Man, that thing's just incredible. I could sit and take this in all day. See, God created all of this incredible creation for us, for you and for me. So then, after he's done with all of this that we see here, he gets to mankind. He creates this especially for man. Now, you might think that man is just another animal. The top of the evolutionary chain. But that's not what he is. See, God created him especially. He put in this extra level of detail. He creates kind of the platform that he's going to put everything in, the land and the sea and everything else. Then he creates the plants and the animals and everything to support this. But then he stops and he distinctly, separately creates mankind. And it's this beautiful picture. We see that, right, man is so different than any other animal that's out there. It's not just the next evolutionary step. It's leaps and bounds above everything else. I mean, think about the detail. Think about all the organs in your body and how they have to work together. Look at your fingerprints. Think about how they are unique from anyone else of the 7 billion people on this planet. Now, think even beyond that, beyond the physical. Think to the psychological, to the mental capacity that God has given us above and beyond everything else. All right, so God's there. He plans this. He has exactly this great idea for mankind. And he gets there and he forms all the physical stuff. But you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't just push the on button. It's not like, the monster in the book Frankenstein, right? It's not like that where he zaps him with this electrical shock and all of a sudden he comes to life. We get this beautiful picture where God goes and he breathes life into him. You see, this word for breathe here, it carries so much depth of meaning. It doesn't just mean breath. It means wind. It means spirit. It means life or life force. So what does God do? He gets there and he goes and he breathes his very spirit into this man. He breathes life into him because he cares for him so much. He sees him as so special and distinct that he takes this extra special care to flip the switch on this guy. What an incredible picture.
But really?
Yeah.
Aren't we just animals? I mean, aren't we just the smartest of animals? The top of the food chain?
No, you see how God puts man especially there, distinctly. So as he reaches the end of creation, it's not just that it stops there, but he puts him in this special place, this special role. He gives him this ability to create with him. But see, we're getting ahead of ourselves. See, God gets there and he creates mankind and he breathes life into him, and there he is. And you might think that creation ends here. But that's not the end. That's just the beginning of a new phase of creation, the ongoing creation.
So God is out there creating other worlds. So you're telling me there might be aliens on another planet. And maybe they're going to come and invade us like in that movie Independence Day. Man, I love that movie.
No. Well, maybe. I'm just kidding. I don't know. No, ongoing creation in that God calls man, he partners with man to continue to create. Let's look at this. How long have we had electricity? The internet. Think about the pyramids, the wheel. Where did languages come from? English, Spanish, Greek. Where do babies come from?
I can tell you where babies come from. I mean, there's no question about that one, Pastor.
But you see, God partners with mankind in this special way so that creation didn't end, but it's really just beginning. He partners with him to continue the creation. Think about cities and civilizations. Think about music and poems.
Poems. You know, all this talk about poems and artistry is actually something that I can connect with a little bit. You know, now you're starting to talk my language a little bit, Pastor. You know, I write a little bit myself. See if I can remember a poem that I wrote recently. You know, we try to keep this planet green, only to see our envy make us gleam. The trees, swaying in the breeze, until the machines put them in the squeeze. Sunsets that will put you in a daze are covered by the city's brown haze. Oceans that go for miles and miles, only to be filled with piles and piles of trash and waste. All from what we thought was our good taste. I know a little bit about poems, Pastor.
I love it. That's awesome. I mean, that's exactly what God wanted.
Or maybe mankind figured that out on their own. Maybe they didn't need God. Maybe they didn't need God to give them permission. I mean, I created that poem, didn't I?
You did, and it's wonderful, but that's what God planned from the beginning. He didn't just allow us to create. He wanted us to create. He built us to create. He calls us to create. There's this incredible picture where he invites us into this space. You see, when God is finishing the creation, he calls man into this special role that we were talking about earlier. He puts him above everything and says, I want you to care for this creation and to continue to develop it. This is this really cool thing, right? So God's there, and he goes, and he's like, yeah, I like what I did. That's pretty good. He creates man, so there's this guy named Adam, right? This first guy. But he doesn't just say, look, this is wonderful, check it out. He says, hey, Adam, come here. Come over here. You see those animals that I did? You see all of those animals. I think about it. There's zebras and porcupines and hippopotami, lots of hippopotamuses. And the birds and the fish and everything, right? And he says, hey, Adam, I want you to help me continue the creation. I want you to give those animals all their names.
I mean, don't we name our babies? I mean, your parents name you, name me?
It's not like that. See, back then, naming was so much more than randomly flipping through a book or doing a random search online to find a name. See, to name someone, to name something was to give it its identity. So when God says, hey, Adam, come name these things, God may have designed them, God may have created them, but Adam helps to give them their identity. Adam helps to define what a porcupine is over there. He gives them their identity. This is this great ongoing creation where God involves man in this great work.
You know, if that were really true, that'd be pretty cool. But I've always seen God as this narcissist. You know, this man that's like, look at me, I'm awesome, I'm bigger than everything, I got everything under control. I've never really seen a God that wants to relate with people, let alone partner with them, right?
You see, that's exactly it. That's what God wants. That's what he desires. We get this. Were you ever a kid? And obviously you were a kid. And maybe you built something, you did something at school, and you thought it was so incredible, and you build it and you make it, and you look back and you're like, oh yeah, I like that. But then maybe you put it up on the shelf, and you forget about it. It starts to collect dust. Sooner than later, then you got to throw it out with the trash, or it goes away in a garage sale or something. I think so often we think that God looks at the earth like this, that he built it, that he set it aside and let it start collecting dust and said, I'm done. But see, that's not the picture that we get. God wants to be with his people. We get this picture early on that God is walking with his people in the garden. He's hanging out with them. He's relating with them. This isn't accidental. This is desired, planned. He wanted to build all of this for them and wanted to spend time with them, showing them how much he cares for them.
You know, it sounds great and all, but to me it seems very utopian. I mean, that's not the world that I know. That doesn't match up with the experiences that I've had or even seem possible.
Well, you see, Miles, this is just the first act of 8. We have so far to go. I mean, and it gets so good. It gets so good. I can't even wait for you to hear. I mean, are you ready for Act 2 right now?
Whoa, Pastor. I mean, I know you're getting really excited and everything, riding up on your soapbox, but we best be getting some sleep. I mean, we have no idea where we're headed tomorrow. Good night.
I guess that makes sense. Good night.